Angourie, a pleasure to be speaking with you today. Big fan of your work. Loved you in this film. I just, yeah, no, of course. I just got to say, having seen you in some other romantic comedies, I got to say, I think the genre's starting to grow on you. I cannot wait to see what you do next. As always, as I just mentioned, this is not your first romantic comedy, but I'm very curious about what drew you to this specific story. It is different from other, I guess, modern romances where it does rely a lot on technology. But talk to me about what drew you specifically to it.
I think there were so many things. I loved how it was set in Manchester. It felt so specific and alive, to be set in that city. And in that as well, like the connection with music. Manchester has such an incredible history with music. And so the fact that music was a part of the film, I thought was fantastic. Um, I also loved how I loved a lot of the dialogue, just kind of getting down to like I don't know, the specifics of it. I felt the dialogue was natural and real and funny, and each side character felt very well-rounded and alive. And to me, it just like delivered the whole package. So, but I definitely think like the music and the Manchester of it all was a huge selling point for me as well.
And you hit the two things that I think I loved about the movie, particularly the very smart writing and realistic dialogue. I think one of the highlights of the film, in my opinion, is the podcast
Mm.
sequence where up until that point you're like, oh, he's just trying to meet the girl that he had a misconnection with. But then the host is like, well, maybe her friend was just taking her away because she thought you were being creepy. And it kind of like you don't really think about things from a different perspective a lot of the time. The film kind of, I feel, from that point forward shows you this whole other different dimension of how relationships really are two-sided. And I totally appreciate that because most modern movies only ever show you like the guy side or the girl side, and that's what makes this one really rich. So I totally agree with you there. Now, like many other rom-coms, this one has homages to other older works littered throughout. But are there any specific ones that you think helped inform your performance here, or any ones that you watched specifically to get you in the mindset for this movie?
Absolutely. Yeah. I've got a real answer and then I've got a silly answer. My real answer is that When Harry Met Sally, I think was a huge influence, especially also for Alicia, the director, in terms of like framing me and Spike in two shots a lot of the time. So we could talk over each other. And you see in When Harry Met Sally, they're always kind of standing in the frame together in a two shot so they can, talk and have fun and like not worry about how it's going to cut together. And that was a major influence too, because that's also about people who become friends who then fall in love. Um, and the dialogue, it's so grounded in the funny dialogue. And then kind of a silly answer, I guess, is one of my favorite movies is My Best Friend's Wedding. And in that film, Julia Roberts, similarly to my character, Emily, she plays this character who is like she's taking big swings and she doesn't know if it's going to work out. And Emily does that too. But she has this great, I just love it in the movie, in the towards the end, she's got a pair of sunglasses on her head and a pair of sunglasses on her shirt. And I thought that was so crazy and funny to have this character who is so concentrated on other things that she's wearing two pairs of sunglasses. So in the film, there is a point where I have a pair of sunglasses on my head and a pair of sunglasses on my shirt.
Fun little Finding Emily Easter egg. I got to be on the lookout for it when I rewatch the film.
Yes, yes.
That's really awesome. Now, slightly similar question here. In the film, you play a psychology major, a person who, on paper, is so fascinated with the facts that they leave emotion out of the equation, but then they start to let emotion in, and you know, what happens happens. Um, were there any studies or any research that you kind of dug into to get into the headspace of the role? Were there any things that you felt you wanted to know that you think the character would kind of know while preparing for their dissertation?
Yeah, absolutely. Alicia, the director, and I went to a lecture on Jungian theory, which is kind of like dream theory and like the ego and psychology. And it was really interesting. So we went to a lecture on that, which was fascinating. Um, and she also asked me to read, or she gave me a copy of All About Love by Bell Hooks, which is a fantastic book. And that was great. And I also read on Love by Alain de Botton, who is a modern day philosopher. And there was a line which was cut from the eventual final cut of the film, but there was a line where my character references Alain de Botton. And so I read that, and all three of those things were immensely helpful, not just for the character, but in my personal life. I mean, it's people breaking down relationships in a way that is it kind of like puts words to something you may have felt or experienced and you don't even know how to describe. So it was very helpful.
Not just breaking relationships down, but breaking modern relationships down. Like the whole time I'm watching this movie, I'm wondering, you couldn't make this movie 20, 30 years ago. I mean, there was email, but I mean, what was the guy going to do? Write letters to all the Emilys in town, like that's the unique aspect of it. So that is really interesting.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Now you said a quote in the movie, and the movie actually opens with a quote from it's credited to Sigmund Freud, and that is that love is a state of temporary psychosis. What is love to you? Do you agree with that? Do you disagree?
I think, gosh, love to me is ever changing, I think. I think it changes from person to person. I mean, the way that I love my best friends is different from the way that I love my sister, from the way that I love my parents, um, from the way that I feel about romantic love. I think all of those types of love, I think there's some fact somewhere about how like English only has one word for love, and then there are other languages. I think maybe I don't know which, but there are other languages that have several words for love that describe different kinds of love. So I think for me, it's kind of it's like this thing that is always changing, and I see it as like this maybe cloud or you know, it's not just one thing. It's kind of all around and changing.
That's very beautiful. That is because with that thinking, it's like you know that the way you love maybe one boyfriend may be different as it evolves, and you eventually find the love of your life. So it's truly beautiful the way that you describe it. So it sounds like you kind of do agree with Sigmund Freud, though. No. uh, Now, one of my final questions. Is there anything that you hope that audiences, single or otherwise, will take away from this film?
Something I really hope is that people see this film in cinemas. And I really hope that because I think that like it feels like kind of I don't know, I think there's lots of discourse about theatrical releases and the risk that's involved and like, getting people to the cinema. It is so exciting to see so many people going to the cinema for so many films like just recently, which is great. And I think what I love about this film and something I would I love the story and I love the performances and I love the direction and everything. The cinematography is also incredible. It is a visually stunning film. Rachel Clark, our DP, was incredible. And the lenses she used on the camera, if you really want to get like nerdy with it, the lenses she used were photography lenses that had been converted into film lenses, and there are only like three sets of these lenses in the world. And she used them on our film, and they've got this gorgeous, gorgeous quality to them. The colors are beautiful. So I would say, like, beyond how this film makes you feel in terms of the story and the characters, like, also, like, look at the way it's constructed in terms of like the framing and the colors and the focus, because that also tells the story. And I want people to see that on a big screen.
So in a way, it's a film about love, made with love. that what you're trying to say?
Absolutely. It's made with love. It's made with so much love. Like the way that Rachel shot this film, I think is like it feels so like intimate and yeah.
And speaking on the theatrical experience, I think Focus Features would be very happy to know that I actually found out about this film, had not heard about it, did not know it was coming out, but I saw the trailer for it before Obsession.
Yes.
And I was kind of charmed by it. And ever since then, I've been following it and very excited to see it. So the theatrical experience does matter a lot. I agree with you.
Oh, thank you so much. Yeah, I think it's so important. So thank you. I'm so glad to hear
Of
that.
course. Is there anything else that you want to say about the film Angourie before I let you go?
I think that's it. Thank you so much for your questions. They were very thought-provoking. So thank you.
No, of course. It was a pleasure speaking with you. And once again, I cannot wait to see what you do next. Maybe more in this space, more in other space, but I think you're a fantastic actress. Thank you for your time today.
Thank you so much. It was lovely to